From the depth of my heart, it's not the issue of removing. But Tinubu is not in the election. He's not in the election in 2027. Tinubu will receive the shocker of his life. Let me be very honest with you. President Tinubu is working very hard to lose the election. There's no any investment in the election from Tinubu. Because you invest in the election by demonstrating leadership for the people. And Nigerians are suffering. But the government is reckless. The president has a Adenkia attitude. He thinks only of himself, his immediate family, and his comfort. In this scenario, he's going to be OTP, one-time president.
Our guest today is former Minister Solomon Dalung, Minister for Youth and Sports, 2015-2019, member of the ADC and a leading political analyst. Comrade Minister, nice to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure for you always smoking me out of my comfort.
Very important. When duty calls, Nigeria calls, you have to answer.
Of course, it's a task that must be done, even in the grave.
Absolutely. You're welcome, Comrade. Okay, let's get right to it without wasting time. Currently, fuel prices are at around 1,260. Insecurity everywhere. Bomb blast in Borno, just 4 days, with over 30 people dead, several tens injured, hospitalized. Opposition being hounded every day. Parties are being, almost becoming a shadow of themselves. At what point, Comrade Minister, at what point do we then tell ourselves the truth and designate Nigeria a failed state? At what point is it?
Nigeria has fulfilled traditional, subnational, national, and international standard of a failed nation state under every relevant laws, including morality.
Comrade Minister, that's your opening remarks. Let's begin to dig deeper. The level of poverty, misery, sufferings in the country now is unprecedented in recent memory. So the question, Comrade, is and you've been in government at close quarters. You've worked directly with the president. So you know government, how government functions and operates. Some are alleging that what is going on is not just incompetence, but a deliberate policy to pauperize the people, to emasculate the people. So, in your opinion, which is it? Is it incompetence or a deliberate statecraft?
It's a combination of both. In fact, monumental incompetence is what creates fear of the unknown. So, every human being knows himself better and more than anybody. So, today's leadership are aware that they have nothing to offer. And not to sound immodest, I don't want to blame President Bwala Tinubu because he never went into any social contract with Nigerians. All he told them was a concept which for the first time, despite my early life in Ibadan, I had it, a meal loco. And when I went into engagement of friends, honestly, Yoruba people, they told me it means it is my turn. So that what is driving the current leadership is the sense of entitlement. And a sense of entitlement philosophically is one of the most dangerous aspects of human character. It places an incompetent personality over and above everybody. And that sense of entitlement is driven by greed, selfishness, nepotism. So what we have today is as a result of a person, an individual, who feels more entitled to govern, and he has nothing. And he told us that the method of realizing self-entitled ambition is to grab power and run away with it. Unfortunately, he grabbed power and he cannot run with governance. So that is the calamity of the contemporary Nigerian state.
If you say it's a monumental incompetence on the part of the president, some would argue, including myself, because this man governed Lagos from 1999 to 2007. We may argue whether he governed well or not, even though, I mean, he's reputed to have improved the financial health of Lagos State substantially. The others I won't copy from, but that's on one side. My point is that he's the only one, former governor, who has held down a particular state for 20-something years post, even after I left office, over 15 or 20 years. He held down Lagos State. How can someone who is incompetent hold down Lagos State for 20 years? Comrade Minister, how do you explain that?
Evil is innate. There is no school for it. Now,
explain that, please.
You see, an evil person is the most visionary person. That's why he can be able to plan evil ahead of people. So, he knows himself very well. So what he did was to present a pseudonym to Lagos people, which constitute the launching pad for this argument that, oh, he did well in Lagos. What he did in Lagos was because he knew, okay, mentally I'm hollow. He assembled the best around him. And so he was exploiting their knowledge. And what the modest achievement recorded could be credited to him. Then he was much younger. Now he is older. So memory has failed him. He cannot even remember that he used people before to succeed. That is the danger of the contemporary situation. So his memory is no more credible and reliable. If it were, he would have played the same trump card in Lagos and would have been celebrated as one of the best presidents of this our republic. But because he's advanced in age, and you know, in Nigeria, we have about triple or multiple ages. We have the birth certificate age, we have the official age, and we have the political age. And he has expanded all these ages. So he's at the political age now, which is 73. That 73, you need to add 10 to it to get his actual age. And if you add 10 to it, and you look at him physically, and assess his mental capacity, you will agree where he is. So it's not his doing. It's a natural process, because if he was younger, he could have still repeated. He would have assembled great people from all over Nigeria and put them in government, and Nigerians would have been celebrating him. But as it is today, even the government itself, the gears of power, his sons are very, very far from it. One of my friends visited him not too long. And he's an ardent opponent, but he's a friend of the president. And he visited him and he came back to me and told me something that I, even as a person, despite my very radical disposition, had to begin to think twice. He said, okay, if this is the situation, then the man needs help. And if he needs help, from what I heard from him, then definitely if he's honest about it, then patriotic Nigerians should be able to, just like what we did during Yaradua, come up and rescue the president from the hands of these power bandits. You can see the assembly in London. The power bandits are everywhere in London. They abandoned Nigeria. All of them are there. Whether the National Assembly are there. All the ministers in Nigeria are there. The national security, the ministers, all of them are in London. while Nigerians here are groaning under the jackboot of terrorists, strangulating their necks, smashing their heads, and even frustrating and trying to smoke life, to stifle life out of them. So this is the situation.
We'll get to the London, the state visit to the king. We'll get to it shortly. Some have described the president as, because I'm wondering which president are you describing, because some have described the president as a very sophisticated politician. In fact, that he is perhaps the most strategic or sophisticated politician in our history, you know. Others say no, he's running the country through a cabal, just like you said now, through a cabal. And if I was, they don't have regard for institutions. They do whatever they want to do. You know, they can run 3 or 4 budgets concurrently, you know, and so on and so forth. Which is it, in your view?
The president, if you said he's the most sophisticated, maybe I can concede that to you. Because I'm a Marxist scholar. And I will tell you, you have to compare his life with that of Chairman Mao Zedong. Chairman Mao Zedong, who led the long march that produced Chinese civilization, ended up very, very terrible. But the Chinese decided to cut his terminal edges, which were an embarrassment and a negation of all his contribution, to consign it to the dustbin. Maybe that may be what is playing out with President Bwala. Of course, you will concede to him that he built up young people who he has come all the way with them. But most of these young people have actually received the master stroke of use and dumb. So they are only invited anytime they have a contribution to make to the stepping stone, the stepping step of Bwala Tinubu. So you run down all those who had been with him, you cannot identify one that is still with him, even including the National Secretary of African Democratic Congress, who is the last disciple, the longest and the last disciple who had departed. Others, you will find their names in the footnote. So that's the type of a person. So whatever sophistication was a selfish and a greedy ambition, personal ambition, which he needed men of reputable integrity, credible character to help him lay the foundation. So he has manifested now who actually he is.
But some would argue that you have Mr. Olawale Oluwade, who was his finance commissioner, who is the Minister for Finance. He's still a holdover in this administration. Yemi Cardoso was the commissioner for commerce and something. And then he is CBN governor. You know, I could continue reading out names for you. What do you say about that? I mean, that he loves to build people and he is loyal to those he build. How do you argue?
I was thinking you were going to run the list beyond 2. But as
I don't want to waste time.
No, it's not an issue of time. Okay. You have even exhausted the list because there are more under the boss than those those standing. So the last casualty is the IGP, who now has also been thrown, Petokun, and you may not hear about him again. Maybe the next time he will join those that are in detention, because that is how the president operates. But the summary of the personality of President Bwala Tinubu is that he is a Machiavellian. The Machiavellian philosophy presupposes that the prince should destroy first those who met the prince, because it is only them that had the capacity to bring him down or destroy him. So Tinubu is a Machiavellian. The moment you hold the ladder for him and he is comfortable, that is stable, the next leg will hit your head and you will go down. And of course, you need another airtime for us to discuss El-Rufai, how he single-handedly from the north started his campaign with rotational presidency. Power must go to the south. Then calibrated into the issue of Bwala Tinubu, where he single-handedly mobilized 5 governors, including the then chairman of Northern Governors Forum, Barrister Simon Dalung, to go and confront Buhari. And Buhari told them, go and elect whosoever you want. He came back, rally around them, rally around Northern governors, even though the arms were agreed so that they can be very slippery to help us succeed. At the end of the day, El-Rufai knew himself very well. He knew the political risks ahead. And he opted not to even participate in politics. He wanted to retire, go back to farming, and live a private life. But because the Machiavellian instinct in Tinubu could not allow the rivalry of 2 princes. Because the Machiavellian theory is to the effect that there can never be 2 princes within the same territory. So it rivaled the existence of 2 princes. So he went to Kaduna, smoked him out, cajole him, hook him, use him round, and he was the megaphone of the prince. Even when they went to Chatham House, one of the notorious questions fired, it was only El-Rufai who could answer it. But the prince was gathering those performances against him. And ultimately, he appointed him, and there were petitions all over. And most of these petitions were induced within the power base. And at the end of the day, he was dismantled and brought down, thrown under the bus. As he was rolling to survive under the bus, it appears he was crying very loud. And people were listening. Emotions were being built. And they have to go immediately for him, drag him out, and make sure that they seal his mouth, throw him into the dungeon. So, that is a Machiavellian for you. The prince.
Brilliant. You know, you've taken us into an excursion into the 48 laws of power.
Yes.
And the second law is do not outshine, the master.
Yeah.
So it will appear, because Malam Nasir El-Rufai is a very brilliant man. I admire him for his intellect. But it will appear he didn't read that, or maybe when he read that book, he glossed over it. He didn't take the lesson to heart. Because if he did, he would know some arguments is that during the primaries of the APC, there were several outstanding aspirants. There was a sitting vice president who, in my considered opinion, just mine, I may be wrong, towered above every other aspirant in the 2022 APC primaries. Yemi Oshibajo, the vice president. They left him and went for, the president now. And I remember Malam Nasir El-Rufai said openly that it's because he's a Muslim. Because, what he did in Kaduna, he wants to repeat at the federal. But he's gotten the reward now. How do you respond to that?
For Malam El-Rufai is a very brilliant and intelligent person. But such people, you go and then read similar personalities with such charisma. They are like vehicles without brake. So if they are running down the steep, of course, it is eminent that a crash is part of that trip. That's how I can summarize what has happened to El-Rufai. But as it stands today, I am sympathetic to El-Rufai, even though I'm not his fan. But what they are now doing to him, I'm sympathetic, and I'm in him, I'm with him. Because when Tinubu would have finished with the likes of El-Rufai, who helped him to power, he will be tempted to reach out to those of us who fought him to power, fought against him to power. So there must be a rallying point now around El-Rufai, not only to rescue and save him, but to save other descending voices. Because, you see, Tinubu, the only thing Tinubu feared in his life is competition. And that was why in 2023, Bully Vance, which my friend Bwala criticized, now he went to...
Bullion Vance, carrying money.
Carrying money. Then he went to London and he disgraced himself by denying. Of course, I didn't expect Mehdi Hassan to have gotten the answer. How would you expect somebody who has honey in the mouth and you want him to blow fire out? It will not work. So, Tinubu doesn't like competition. Where he is confronting competition, he will deploy all resources available to step in the gap. He has played the trump card in 2023. Now, money will not save him in 2027. Because if money can save the people, Jonathan would have been saved in 2015. He came up now with the theory of cajoling, buying, and hook-wing the governors into one political party. If one political party were to serve the people, Abacha would have been a president and would have not even been in this republic with people like them. So, either way Tinubu goes, he is running against high risks. But in as far as he's traveling to France, having handshake with the king, helping him to work, even introducing him into a royal carriage, all those ones will not solve 2021 problem.
You sound very optimistic about the president not coming back in 2027. And I'm wondering, as I sit here, as politically informed as I am, I'm wondering, seriously, comrade, what is the basis of your optimism? Because where's the opposition? Where are you? You guys are nowhere to be found. And the reality now amongst us, in the media circles is that the opposition, I don't want to use a stronger word like maybe dead. So I would say the opposition is paralyzed completely. So where is the opposition that would contest or challenge the president? Comrade.
We have never had the largest opposition like now.
Where?
In Nigeria. You see, 2027 is not going to be based on political parties' opposition, partisan opposition. It is going to be we versus them. And I will corroborate this so that I can regain your confidence. We had the City Boys movement. It didn't take 5 minutes for a village boys movement to emerge. Nobody organized it. Do you know the leader of the village boys movement? Nobody. The people reacted immediately. That is the situation. In fact, the Director General of the campaign of the peoples of Nigeria in 2027 is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Every day, he brings in large followers into the movement of Nigerians against him. You know, look at the last campaign where he mounted the rostrum now. He's in London, campaigning, and so many Nigerians, even those who used to sympathize, had to join the Nigerian people because they see in him a very wicked leader. That you were in the country. Terrorists bombed and attack the market, the post office, the hospital, killing people in their hundreds. The same terrorists had killed 4 commanders of the army and, many soldiers. But with all this, you just went into your aircraft and waved Nigerians to go and have handshake with the King of England. When we know that such things, even if it happened and leaders are out of their countries, they come back. Barack Obama was in Kenya as a president when schools shooting in U.S. led to the killing of 1 child, and he immediately ended the visit and left back to the U.S. And here you have a president that he was here when they were killing his people, and he left. And his image launderers are saying that, the opposition instigated this thing to happen so that they can prevent him from traveling. What has he achieved with going to London, if not for him and his wife and the ban of those people in his government that are going around in London while the Europeans are mocking at them? Look at this side of it. Did you hear what President Donald Trump said? When he had that Tinubu left for the UK, he said Nigeria has no president. So, if you think you are thinking of a political party opposition, you may not find one, and you are thinking like Tinubu and APC. But if you are looking at the theory of we versus them, which already has been demonstrated in this City Boys movement and the reaction of the people, 2027 is a done deal.
I still want to take you up on this opposition issue. There's no space for independent candidacy in our laws. We still have to go through a political party to express our disenchantment with the ruling government. That's why it's a democracy. Now, what you just graphically explained here, how earlier in the week there was bombing in Borno State, Maiduguri, and in spite of that, the president was here. He still left. And not only that the president left, almost 60-70% of the entire federal government cabinet are in the UK. State governors left, and they also left even the money alone. Comrade, I was reading some of these economists trying to compute a rough estimate of what we have lost to the United Kingdom in terms of hotels, tickets, just logistics and all of that. But that's aside. Who is speaking for the ADC? Who is the spokesperson? Malam Bolaji Abdullahi. I have not seen him once on any TV or radio, online, or on speaking, condemning this. Not a political opponent, none of the ADC spokesperson, not one. Where are the youth wing of the ADC? Nobody is speaking. And I asked somebody just yesterday, let's dial back to 2014. Imagine what Alhaji Lai Mohammed would have done if roles were reversed and this happened under Jonathan. What do you think would have happened, comrade?
For the National Publicity Secretary of the party, he is speaking. But, the situation now is not the same in 2015.
Exactly. It is worse.
The mainstream media.
It is worse now. Do you
yes,
agree it is worse?
Yes. The mainstream media had been completely compromised. So, the only available spaces for Nigeria is the social media, which they have not been able to hijack. And we are now dealing with a guerrilla. So, it is a complete jungle and guerrilla warfare. Yeah. There are attacks all over. Even the youth, we had a live session on TikTok. Northern youth who said no security, no election in 2027. Things are happening. But because we are used to hearing it through the conventional mainstream media, which has suddenly gone cold, and their coldness can be measured with the temperature of dollars before you will know what actually would have happened. So you may think that nothing is happening. A lot is happening. What I fear is that the situation may erupt into an unimaginable political crisis because of the absence of a strong political party that will be able to control the people. And there is also the absence of a strong political figure that wield the influences of the likes of Buhari. So we are going to have so many people emerging within their political space to be able to wield influences, and we will face a serious chaos. Let me give an example of what happened during the demonstration and the protest in the National Assembly. There were so many young people who had influences, and they were holding their spaces and followership. It took the grace of people like us to go there to be able to aggregate and influence them to come together. Otherwise, everybody was given his command and doing what he feels he wanted to achieve. This is the type of situation this defection of governors to APC is creating. It's also making it very easy to define who the people should target in events of crisis. For the political parties you are talking about, let me refer you to what happened in Senegal. In Senegal, Mal locked up every opposition. He locked them up. And at the point in time, he was cruising like what Tinubu is doing and thought, oh.
Former President Macky Sall.
Macky Sall. He was cruising and he was so intoxicated and said there was not going to be no election. No elections. He didn't know that election is not an issue, it's not only a municipal question. And the international community mounted pressure on him and said, elections must hold. Which is what Tinubu is planning. Maybe that's why he's visiting the king. Tomorrow he will want to go to US. But if he does not visit places like North Korea, Iran, Russia, and China, then he has problem. At the end of the day, when he was under pressure, he went and chose the lesser devil and released him and thought he has no any influence. But because it was we versus them, the people rallied round him and defeated him. That is exactly the card that is playing in Nigeria, which you are not understanding.
You think I don't understand it? Let's leave that and shift gears. We're still talking about opposition political parties. The internal crisis in all these other opposition parties, Labour Party, PDP, has festered. They have become more or less, I don't want to use the word dead, like you said, paralyzed. They can't offer any opposition. Now, the only hope remains the ADC. But then, even the ADC has its own internal contradictions. But some are alleging that it is sponsored by APC interests, who do not want, like you said, to have any opposition at all. They don't want, the idea, it seems very sinister and unbelievable that they don't even want any opposition on the ballot next year. They just want to be a coronation for President Tinubu. So the question is it really sponsored, destabilization? Or is it actually infighting between you people in ADC?
It's not an issue of only ADC, because we've named stable political parties that has been destabilized. I was there when my boss, Kweme, Sonde Awonei, Rimi, Adamu Chiroma, the likes of Bwala, who came together and said we must close ranks to send these still wearing human beings to the barracks and manage democracy. But now we have worse Agbada wearing monsters that, in fact, the military did not even measure up to 1% of what they are doing.
About ADC, there are rumors grapevine, as journalists, it's our job to, sample all shades of opinion. There are rumors that those who are intent on destabilizing the ADC so as not to offer virile opposition next year are scheming to use the courts to install or recognize the opposition, somebody who is claiming, Nephew something who is claiming to be the chairman, authentic chairman of ADC, that they want to use the courts to recognize it. If ADC, if it collapses, what is the future of democracy?
I'm a lawyer. Now that you have mentioned court and the issues in court, I will limit myself to the circumference of what is allowed by law. Yeah. There is nothing wrong in anybody claiming to be a chairman of a political party. But as to who is a chairman of a political party, the laws are very clear. When you know who is a chairman of a party, go to INEC. INEC will give you the name of a chairman of a party.
Sorry to interrupt you. Actually, the rumor we got was that they want to use the INEC page, INEC chair, to come out to recognize that factional chairman. That's the rumor.
Well, it will still operate within the level of rumor, because the way INEC operates is that INEC has participated in the process of transition of the ADC to when it was satisfied and recognized the leadership and uploaded their names into their server. Now, what can remove that?
Onto their website.
Onto their website. What can remove that is a judgment from a competent court of law that can remove that or change that. That is what those who have gone to court are trying to do. They reconfigure personalities into entities and claim they are this, they are that. Where there is democracy, there is freedom of expression. So it's allowed. But as to whether they are who they think they are is an issue that they will have to prove before a court of competent jurisdiction. And this issue is before the court. So let's see how it goes.
This hula baloo about destabilizing opposition parties, hounding opposition elements, high-profile figures such as Nasir El-Rufai, Malami, Abaka Malami from KBC, former EGF, and all of that. I mean, the president and his men, APC, your man, Nentawe, APC chairman, is boasting, like former PDP chair were boasting that they have everything, it's a slam dunk. The question is, why is APC and the president, why are they afraid of opposition in 2027? Why?
I think they are afraid because they know that they are standing on a shaky foundation. A man who is standing on a strong foundation even does not boast. He does not even declare war. He uses it to lure you into a combat for you to find out. It doesn't tell you how strong he is. If you ask Dangote today, Dangote will tell you that he doesn't have money as people think. If you ask Tatudela, he will tell you that, no, I just have little money. Nobody who has money will tell you he has money. So when you hear an empty gong making the most sound, you know that is hollow, there's nothing in it. The national chairman of APC, first political experience was in 2023. I joined politics in 1978.
When he contested to be governor?
Yes. That's his first experience. And that is the person now that is making noise, opening his chest. He's doing that because of inexperience, self-pride, and then grit. But a national chairman of a party that is in government is supposed to epitomize the values of that political party. And the only time the APC had a chairman were the interim chairman, the gentleman, the former governor of Osun State, Baba Akande, and Oyegun. Then Abdoulaye Adamu. Oshomole was catastrophe. And this one is the same thing.
Out of Ganduje.
Ganduje was another catastrophe because Ganduje has integrity issues that was haunting him. When he was sent as a governor to preside over a Edo election, all it took for PDP to do then was to produce videos of how he was helping himself with dollars, and they were mounted at all strategic positions, and he couldn't even go to Benin.
Oh, you said those videos are doctors' videos, they are not real.
No, but yes, they are doctored, but why are they haunting him?
And they are not he's not been tried within the court of law.
No. There are cases going on which he has also been, but time does not run against the state in criminal matters. So
he's not started bad.
No. He has not escaped it. Yes. So that you have somebody, a young person, shouting. He's shouting because he never in his life imagined that he was going to sit next to a president. So seeing himself shaking a president, to him looks like he has arrived in heaven. And so he's shouting and jumping. Very soon, you will look for him, even in footnotes. You will not find him. It's not that I'm wishing him back, but you will not find him. And where is Abdullah Adamu? Abdullah Adamu who delivered to Tinubu. Let me tell you something. Everybody that is jumping in the north, including the Christians, who now they fought Tinubu in 2023. Now, Tinubu has went and cajoled them, and they are shouting. But did you know that most of the northern Christians from southern Kaduna and Plateau are not using their brains well? Tinubu will give them the same treatment he's giving El-Rufai. Tinubu does not forget and forgive. Tinubu is like that. When he will have been done with them, they will look for this red beret and khaki and say, this man is a prophet. Oh, you think you insulted him? He used unprintable words against him? And today, he has sent the wife to say, oh, my wife is a Christian. And because of your greed, he now said, oh, we thought he was going to fight us. Now, we now know that he's good. The man knew. Tinubu knows very well that it is his dollars that have changed them, not that they love him. Do you know one thing? If you have anybody close to Tinubu, go and ask him. Tinubu respect me and love me more than the whole of his followers from Plateau and Benue.
Comrade, you said something now that the president does not forget when you insult him and all of that. But that would seem to be a great contradiction, open contradiction, because nobody abused the president more than Daniel Bwala or Reno Omokri or Fani-Kayode. And today, Reno Omokri is ambassador for Nigeria to Mexico. Daniel Bwala is special advisor, equivalent to a ministerial position on a public strategic communication or something of the sort. And Fani-Kayode is also an ambassador. How do you respond to that?
Tinubu has finished with them.
How? They are in government.
No, listen to me. All these ambassadors,
yes,
wait until their letters of credence have been accepted. Tinubu knew that Fani-Kayode, they have no integrity. And he knew very well that they will be rejected. So if they are now rejected, he has played the El-Rufai card. Because he said he wasn't the one who rejected El-Rufai.
It was
National Assembly. But that same president, people who had excess baggage went to the National Assembly and they were screened. Some were even given, take a bow and leave. So Tinubu had brought them close. In Machiavellian theory, a very intelligent and ardent enemy, you lure him to come within the range of attack before you deal with him. All of them now are captured within the circumference of attack. One day, even if Solomon Dalung is not alive, you will go to my grave and say, here lies a prophet that saw the future.
And then, still talking about this Christian that they will be dealt with, but you also told us here the other time that the president is busy searching for a Christian to run as his vice in 2027. Has that changed?
No, he's still part of the game. He's still part of the game.
Is it a game or
yeah.
it's real?
No, it's part of the game. You see, the Christians in the north opposed Tinubu and used...
Because of the Muslim thing?
Yes, they used religion. If you listen to the wife said even in the church, she was being attacked and accused. Let's corroborate what I tell you, that the Tinubus don't forget, they don't forgive. So all that Tinubu is doing is to keep this large population. He's going to deal with them. And that will be over for the...
But the question, comrade, is that the vice presidential search for a Christian to replace Kashim Shettima, is this still on?
It's on. Okay. He's going to look for another Christian with credibility because he has captured Christopher Musa. If Christopher Musa had not accepted to be a minister under Tinubu when he retired,
yes,
in 2031, he would have been another Buhari. Because he was much loved and liked by both Christians and Muslims. And having been born and grew up in Sokoto, he would have been like another Buhari. And Nigerian Northerners would have rallied around him. Because of that Machiavellian theory, Tinubu immediately signaled danger.
Targeted and so.
Yes. And so they brought him now. A chief of defense staff who was seeing the president without protocol will now come and become Minister of Defense to go and see the president through the earth. Of course, that's just humiliating. I've been a minister, so I know what it is to be a minister before him. So, he's gone.
George Akume
is within the range. He's also captured as a clerk of the Federal Executive Council.
Is he a clerk?
He's a clerk. He's not a member of the Federal Executive Council.
Yes.
He cannot speak at council meetings except with leave. His job is to take record. And he should have been the engine room of the government. But this democracy, right from Goodluck Jonathan, had destroyed the issue of the Office of the Secretary to Government. So what the Office of the Secretary to Government does is to attend council meeting. If Akume, look at last time, he generated a memo to set a committee for 1 billion. Immediately he signs it, was already in the social media. So it's gone. They are looking, they are still...
You've not mentioned Dogara, Yakubu Dogara.
Yakubu Dogara has been given, if you hear the name of the agency, that Yakubu Dogara is chairman there, but nothing is happening there.
What's the agency? I don't know.
I don't know. You know, Tinubu can create anything, so he's there. There's something credit facility, something. He's there. Nothing is happening. He's a ghost of himself. And let me tell you, that's one of my board. We were founders of APC. He's a lawyer. We went to court. We saved governors who wanted to join APC that were being haunted during Jonathan. They appointed him one big office and they were congratulating him. And then I met him. We were going for a meeting of opposition. And then I saw him very close to the gate. I said, what are you doing here? You have Tinubu's appointment, and if the cameras pick you here, it's going to be trouble. So I just forget about him. And he was not looking himself. He used to be a very...
What are you speaking about now?
No, I don't want to mention names. And the young man was a ghost of himself. And I asked him. He said, since his appointment, he has not seen a dime. Most of these people that
want to tell us so that the public have the right to know.
No, the public have the right to know, but of course, Adesanya versus the Federal Republic say you cannot force somebody to disclose information. So,
Comrade, let's make progress. What is ADC doing to build a grand coalition, to bring opposition elements into the fold, so as to offer very strong opposition and chances in 2027. And I'll mention names, not like you that don't want to mention names. What efforts are you guys making in ADC to appeal, to lure Kwankwanso to the fold?
We don't want to accuse the APC and behave like the APC. If you look at what happened immediately after the FCT council elections, you saw how the opposition political parties came together with one voice. The APC is doing a lot, but everybody has keep his strategy to his chest. Just like President Tinubu is keeping the strategy of contesting election with nobody to his chest, we're also keeping our own. Because we don't want to behave like a stupid general who will invite his enemy to inspect his armory before he will go to war the following day.
So you are building a strong coalition.
A lot is going on underground. A lot is going on. We are reaching out. You see, in fact, it's healthier, this movement into different political parties. It's healthier. Why? Because the whole essence is that in Nigeria, we practice partisan politics. You must contest election under a platform. Yeah. So we need as more safe platforms for easy migration, just like when I told you what happened in Senegal. In Senegal, the party that ultimately won election was a party that they were working together, because the young man was a follower of one of the most prominent politicians who was built to win the election. It was his boy. But he went and formed a political party and was mobilizing people, because they knew that the president was desperate to take over any healthy political space. So we have experiences and we learn. Really? ADC is providing the chess, war chess for opposition. But where we will end in 2027 is not yet known. We will encourage the emergence of many saved political parties, which the president may not even be eyeing it. And then the surprise will be sprung. For what we are now is not about individuals, but it's about democracy and the people of Nigeria. So if there is any healthy political party and we suffered an obstacle, we will just carefully and strategically re-strategize and strike.
So this Machiavellian strategy is not peculiar to the APC.
No, we're learning from them.
Because this strategy is called smoke screen.
Yeah.
So it's a smoke screen strategy.
All of us are learning from them.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. You mentioned Nasir El-Rufai earlier. He has been in detention now for maybe 1 month plus. What effort is the ADC and the leadership, what effort are you making? Because I accused Malam Bolaji Abdullahi of ineffectiveness. I don't want to use the word incompetence, completely, no presence, no showing. Malam El-Rufai alone was doing so much work for opposition while he was free. Everywhere is quiet. This jamboree that went on in the UK in the last few days, I could imagine what would have happened if El-Rufai were to be out. What effort is your party, is your friend, what effort are you guys making to speak for him, to get him released? Because whatever offenses he's been accused to have committed, they are bailable offenses.
Well, El-Rufai was arrested before ICPC is looking for the offense. The current DG of
the DSS
is one person that I have 101% respect for him.
Okay.
He's a Nigerian. He's a patriotic Nigerian. He's a public servant that has served selflessly, very, very experienced and intelligent. But I don't know how he allowed his men, maybe enemies or his opponent within the system did this. Because I know that if he knew this, he wouldn't allow it. The DSS went and filed a charge before interrogating El-Rufai. It's never done anywhere. You cannot just go and charge somebody before you will come and investigate him. Investigation that leads to charge. That was what the DSS did. I don't want to attack them because of the respect I have for them. So I kept quiet. I didn't even write anything about it. Because this is somebody that I protect his integrity with everything I have. For I've monitored his growth and development. And he's a very fine professional. Very honest Nigerian. Very, very honest Nigerian. He is our type, except that he's encumbered by the professional ethics of his job. But he's our type. He says things the way they are and follow what is right. But he allowed this to happen. The true banana peel, because DSS could not have gone to file a charge without investigating El-Rufai. Because you have to investigate before you file. That charge that they filed, they will not be able to establish. They will not. Because it will require, if you are going to use admission, then you have to deal with the principle of self-indictment. Also, he indicted himself for you to use it against him. It's a very cumbersome process. They will not succeed. It was supposed to be a political charge, but it was also filed out of gross error. So, for them, that one, the director should not allow them to minus.
My question, comrade, is that what are you doing to secure his release?
You see, like I said,
using legal means. Anyway.
Very good. The Court of Appeal had entered a judgment against arresting El-Rufai before shopping for offense. ICPC arrest before they are shopping. In fact, ICPC embarrassed me. If it was possible to change my citizenship, I would have done it on that day. Went to El-Rufai's house and they picked with all these old Nokia phones, 9810, 3310, and even this old Gadman phone, and displayed them as an instrument for wiretapping. Must we be embarrassed at that level?
Are you saying they don't know what wiretapping instrument looks like, equipment looks like?
No, because there is nothing for them to show. So they just have to look for something to present to Nigerians. Look at what they did in the case of Malami.
That's Abubakar
Malami. If you see the armory with AK-47 that was paraded as what was found in Malami's house, even myself was beginning to wonder, what was he going to do with that? But when I went and investigated, it was a pump action shotgun, which the son has with a license, that was picked in the son's house. But you can see the story they created. Malami is a sponsor of terrorism, and just because they think by doing so they will break them down. But the like of Malami and El-Rufai, what they are doing, they are giving them injection of resistance.
Okay, we want to hope so. Middle Belt, which is your area, what are the president's chances in the Middle Belt region of Nigeria? Plateau State, Benue State, Nasarawa. Some believe that Nasarawa governorship election that PDP actually won, but that the ruling party came and did their whatever to return the incumbent. So, in the Middle Belt, especially these Christian states, what are the chances? Examine the chances of the president to win in those places.
His chances has even been marred by the defection of the governors. If the governors are remain in their parties and work for him, he would have won.
So you think the decamping of the governor?
Oh, no. It has already removed the carpet under the feet of the president. Look at the governor of Plateau State. His popularity has nosedived.
Some believe it's very popular that he would...
There's nothing wrong with believing now. We believe that the devil lives here, but have you ever seen him? So, but if you look at the video of his reception into APC, it was a gathering of cars. And then if you look at his...
A gathering of...
Cars.
Motor vehicles.
No. Vehicles with very few aides hanging around. Then if you look at his inauguration or subsequent political state functions that he organized in Rwampam, the crowd was massive. So from the comparison of the two, you will know where he belongs. The same thing is happening to the governor of Taraba. And they are strangers in APC because they did not move with their natural or traditional crowd. They have not been able to win the hearts of members of the APC. And the traditional members of the APC behave like cult. So they know only themselves. So they have lured them to come. Wait. During the congresses or the primaries, you will remember what I'm telling you today. The governors have shot themselves on the foot. And Tinubu had signed their death warrant by signing the Electoral Act, which says what? Direct primaries or consensus. Consensus is one of the most difficult things to achieve in Nigerian politics. So direct primaries remain the viable option. If the president now force some people not to contest, they will either leave the party or remain in the party and liquidate their investment to make sure that the party loses the election.
Let's talk about Benue State. It's a peculiar situation. Governor Alia, Reverend Alia, the governor, has always been at loggerheads with his godfather, George Akume, SGF. And there are strong rumors that George Akume now is shopping for a replacement for him.
You cannot accuse somebody of corruption and be given bribery to the Reverend Father to give you Holy Communion. So, you see, we have better, credible candidates in Benue
than the incumbent governor?
Yes.
Who is it?
We will not want to inherit
the baggage,
excess baggage, and inherit his fight with his
benefactor or godfather.
Or godfather, whatever nomenclature you want to use. We will not approach him. But you know the principle of ADC? We have asked our members to buy iodine and bandage because we are going to give first aid. When APC will find and break the heads of those who refuse to buy helmet, when they come, we apply iodine, we wrap it for them and ask them to sit. So we don't want to receive anybody in ADC that has no injury on their head. We want
them battered and bruised.
No, so that when they come, they can appreciate our compassion and love. But if they have no bandage on the head, they will not appreciate it. So, as what is happening in Benue, they will fight themselves, destroy themselves.
And cancel each other.
Very good.
Fantastic. As we wrap up now, just two more questions. You know, we've said a lot the last 1 hour or so. Comrade, I want you to be honest. I know you are very honest. You don't hide your feelings. You wear it on your sleeve. But what you have said, is this what you think in your sober moments, in your private moments? Do you truly believe in your heart of hearts that opposition parties, let's be specific, ADC, even if you play all the cards well, do you have the chance of removing President Tinubu in 2027?
From the depth of my heart, it's not the issue of removing. But Tinubu is not in the election. He's not in the election in 2027. Tinubu will receive the shocker of his life.
Also, in your heart of hearts, do you believe Nigeria can be reformed? Some believe that Nigeria is gone. And that's why, I'd actually believe that the strident call for restructuring, the agitation, I thought it was dead because it petered out. But suddenly, it's awakened. Even from people you don't expect, from the least people you don't expect. You bring them here, they start talking about restructuring. Agitation, let everybody. Do you actually believe that anybody wins election who is not President Tinubu in 2027, such a person, even if he finds good people around him, they can actually change this country?
Nigeria is not in a situation worse than Rwanda. When Paul Kagame took over Rwanda, there was no government. There were no institutions. There were nothing. It was only anarchy. Killings have been going on for 3 months.
And almost 1 million dead bodies.
Yes. But because the missing gap was leadership, and he filled in the gap effectively and dispensed justice, within 3 months he was able to put up a government in place. And that government had been able to transform Rwanda into one of the most successful democracies and economies in Africa. Our situation is not as bad as that. We still have government institutions and structures on ground. We are blessed with everything. In fact, the latest mineral discovered in Nigeria, I always forget the name, cost 1 carat is 30 million. So, the stealing in Nigeria from 1st of October 1960 till today is not yet 10% of the wealth of this country. We have everything. The only thing we have is that the fish rots from the head. If you have a leader today, his body language alone will change the country. That's why I took you back to Murtala and I took you back to Yaradua. It was only the body language of Yaradua, after taking oath, that changed the narrative. It was the body language of Murtala. Yes, he said, yes, I was corrupt. But today, I have decided that a curtain has been drawn, and anybody after the line, I'm going to deal with him. And the country changed. We, up till today, Murtala's achievement in 6 years, 6 months. 6 months, sorry. 6 months is what we are benefiting. And you have people spend 4 years, 8 years telling you stories. Nigeria needs a leader, and Nigerians should look for a leader who have the qualities of our founding fathers. Patriotism, faith in the country, love of the country, understanding of the country. We are good to go. Give us 6 months. We will be the destination to visit.
Finally, in what scenario do you foresee President Tinubu losing election? I know you, but be direct. Do you envisage President Tinubu losing?
No, it's not. Let me be very honest to you. President Tinubu is working very hard to lose the election. There's no any investment in the election from Tinubu. Because you invest in the election by demonstrating leadership for the people. As Nigerians are suffering, if the president demonstrates empathy, there are people that will feel better, will feel consoled. But the government is reckless. The president has a Adenkia attitude. He thinks only of himself, his immediate family, and his comfort. In this scenario, he's going to be OTP, one-time president.
I know I said last one, but this one is the last one. Give us your permutation for a candidacy, a ticket that can defeat him. Give us a permutation. You're a prophet that sees the future. Mention a ticket that can defeat him.
The ticket that will defeat Tinubu in 2027 is a ticket of a Nigerian whose primary is free, fair, and transparent, and is acceptable to Nigerians. Such a person will defeat President Tinubu in 2020.
I said you should give us a name and a ticket.
No, for the name, at my age, I am not supposed to ruffle
the waters.
Yes. So I work towards unity of Nigerians. Okay. But I think we still have, we have names of people who are in front line.
Yes.
But there are people who have not been mentioned. Mm-hmm. And I kept referring to the Senegalese model. Mm-hmm. So the man who will defeat Tinubu might still be a dark horse.
We'll wait and see how it plays out. Always a pleasure having you, Comrade Minister.
Thank you very much for that.
It's really a pleasure having you again.